Hey, this is Jesse James, and today I'm going to be bringing you my review of one of the newest additions to the Harley-Davidson lineup. And while it's not necessarily a brand new model, there's been enough significant changes across it to change how it rides entirely. Recently featured in the 2025 Marvel Studios Thunderbolts movie is the Pan America ST. So the Pan America ST is doing the exact opposite of what the Pan America Special was wanting to do. Where the Pan America Special is meant to be doing dual sport, off-road, and on-road, the Pan America ST is essentially stripping away all of the off-road components and solely sticking with the on-road. So there were elements of the bike that were more off-road focused that were stripped away, whereas they then added components to the bike that would give it a more on-road performance focus. And while I understand that some people would question why would you make a off-road bike to then turn it street bike, as somebody that's sold several of them, I do think there is enough of people out there that want a Pan America and have no intention of ever taking it off-road that it makes sense. So the first major difference is actually going to be up here in the tires. These tires are completely street oriented, whereas in your Pan America Specials, you've got a more 60-40 tire. As for the overall ride, I feel like these you would definitely notice like they are gripping the road better. And for leaning, I felt more confident in the lean on these on road. Now for off-road, these would be absolutely terrible. But again, this bike is trying to focus on the performance aspect of the on-road. You'll notice that for the rotor, it's a different style of rotor. I personally didn't feel like it was any better or inferior than the Pan America Special, but it is a different styling at the very least. Still getting Brembo braking on there, and you are gonna have a different front fender up here. Personally, I like this front fender better, but that is purely for aesthetic reasons. So the next part where they've really trimmed up the look of the bike by removing the off-road elements is actually up here. On the Specials, you actually have some reinforcement parts through there, and the lights, the turn signals here are actually onto that instead of this little hanging spot there. One of the biggest changes that honestly surprised me at first is the fact that they've removed the light that you would see on the Pan America Specials there, that banking light that would, whenever you would be leaning the bike, the light was angled in such a way that it would go into the different little blind spots there. While it's on the Pan America Special, it was built to be more for off-roading, so if there's a twig or something, if you're caught riding at night. I really liked it just in general. I thought it was a nice touch. And on top of that, I no longer believe loud pipes can save lives as insulated as cars are, so any extra lights is a big thing for me. But as you can see, it is not on the Pan America ST. The stock windshield is a whole lot shorter on the Pan America ST than the Special. Now this was available in the P&A catalog for the Pan America before becoming the stock windshield. The real big changer is you don't have the adjustment knob here to raise up the windshield that you would see on the Special. So these small little things right there, to me, I think can be the difference between somebody getting a Special or ST. If those are big points for you that you gotta have that stuff, then you go Special. But the ST is not gonna be having those aspects. However, to change out the windshield, it's all the same spots, so if you wanna go with a taller windshield, that is easily available to you. Now, something that I think the ST has in spades over the Specials is I love the look. The bar and shield in there with the red striping, I think looks really good on the gas tank. You are going to be sporting a 5.6 gallon gas tank, so plenty of gas to get you wherever you want to go. And then the 1250 Revolution Max motor, I can't say enough positive things about it. You're putting out close to 150 horsepower stock on this motor. The black accents across it gives it a very sinister look. I love that aspect. As for how it feels when you're riding on this engine, since it is a liquid cooled motor, this has been tuned differently on top of just running cooler. So on that Revolution Max motor, instead of being around the 2,500, 27 or 3,000 and the RPMs being its happy spot, That bike actually likes to be running between 4,000 to 6,000 RPMs. That's the way that it was tuned, and you definitely feel a major difference in how it's delivering the power whenever you're running it that way. Makes it way more fun. I also want to take a moment to point out that this bike is going to be having different pegs over the Pan America Special. These are the same pegs that you would actually find on the Nightster, so plenty for your foot to rest on for riding purposes, but I thought it was just an interesting little decision. Pan America ST this has a very different seat. One, it's all just one piece instead of two individual pieces. The second thing is how low swung it is. So you can see here, it's going to be having you sit way further into the bike than you are on the previous Pan Americas. One of the big comments on the Pan America Specials is it sits so tall that for some people, it's just impractical. So this is going to fix that. Not only is it a lower swung seat to help out with that, but also suspension-wise, this is sitting about an inch lower compared to the previous versions of the Pan America, while still sporting that adaptive ride height. Now that adaptive ride height, the way that it works is the bike is essentially using the sensors across it to weigh you as it is stopping. Whenever it starts to feel the person's weight come out of the seat a little bit, it's concluded that, hey, we're down as far as we need to go, so we can stop going down. Or it'll bottom out, meaning that it's gone down as far as it can. Now, once the bike starts rolling again, it'll raise itself up back to the full height of the suspension, so you can still get the maximum travel from it. It's a really cool thing. So along with being a bike where it is lower to the ground, seats more low swung to make it easier to touch, this bike also weighs about 20 pounds less just with all the stuff they've taken out of the bike compared to the Pan America Special. So if you're somebody that's really been interested in Pan Americas, but the weight and how tall it is something that really discouraged you, come in and check out the Pan America STs, because it might be the best way for you to get on the Pan Americas. So even though it is more of a street orientation, you are still going to be getting a chain drive on this bike. Now, whether that was just for simplicity from a production standpoint, or what it is, it's still notable that the Pan America is still the only one, be it Special or ST, that is coming stock with a chain drive. Another really cool thing about the Pan America ST is it is coming with the Screaming Eagle quick shifter, which from my understanding makes it to where you are actually able to shift this bike into a different gear without having the clutch pulled in at all times. I've got it in it. It's something that super weirds me out, so I have yet to try it to see how it works. But it's still noteworthy that stock, this bike is coming with that quick shifter. It's something that people have been asking for on like the Pan America Specials for some time that you would only find on a CVO. Now from our view of the cockpit, to me it feels far less cluttered than the Pan America Specials, even though everything from a fundamentals of how it works standpoint is the exact same. It could also just be because since there's less going on through up here and the lack of handguards. Personally, I would add the handguards back on. It's something that once you get something to where there's just less wind on you, it's a really nice feature to have. They are still sporting to where you can adjust both your clutch and your front brake with that dial right there. But now we'll go over the controls. So over here you have your run light, passing light, high beam, cruise control, heated grips, how you can cycle through your odometer. Down here, this is your home button to return it to the main screen on the Pan America, or that button there, which will actually bring up all the different little menus that are on the Pan America, from diagnostics to settings to just your home screen. Down here you have both your horn and your turn signals. Since this goes by CCs, it is going to have a metric style turn signal on there. Personally, I'm not crazy about it, but what are you going to do? Over on the other side, this is where you're going to have your mode select, your run switch, kill switch and starter, hazard, and then even though there isn't speakers built onto the bike, you can Bluetooth your phone up to the bike to access not only navigation, but also you can have a layer of music control right there at the controls. And then down here, you have a traction control button and voice commands should you have a headset paired up to the bike that allow you to have that. Now, on our display here, you'll notice this is in the simplistic style. It's in the exact same setup that you would find on your Pan America Special. That green light is indicating that the adaptive ride height is on. Go through some of the different settings on here. So that icon there is with the Harley-Davidson app, Bluetoothed up to your bike, you'll be able to actually have navigation. So if you've already got the Harley-Davidson app, the navigation that's on that app, you can get set over to the bike. So it is, to my knowledge, the only free way to access any sort of navigation being on the RevMax platform. Next, this is the music screen where if you, again, phone paired up to it, you can change your music based off what you're listening to. Diagnostics here, you'll notice we need a little bit of air, the front and back. And then your settings to go through and change up stuff of your ride customization, the appearance of what your screen looks like, Bluetooth, phone notifications, software is like for updates, things of that nature. For ride customization, this is gonna have hill control, so you can have that on. If you haven't messed around with hill control, it's super nice. Basically with just a quick grab of the front brake whenever you're riding or stopped at a light, you can put that in and it'll actually hold the bike so you don't have to keep the clutch and brake pulled in. Your brake pulled in, not the clutch. For your ride modes, you'll notice that for the Pan America ST, you don't have an off-road mode. And this makes sense just because it's not a bike meant to go off-road. But you do have the full other suite and then your custom A and B. Personally, I don't fully understand why the regular mainline touring bikes don't have an A and B, but your RevMaxes have always had 2 custom modes. And then we'll go back out and then back over to the home. Well, I want to show you the way you can change the appearance here with dashboard customization. I personally like the widget style more. I prefer the extra information, but that's why it's customizable for everybody. So if you don't like it, you don't have it, you can stay with that more simplistic gauge. Now this is one of the controversial things. Before I dive into my test ride and thoughts, the Pan Americas, any bike with the Revolution Max motor, is bikes that are not made here in the US. These are actually made overseas and then imported over. The reasoning we were given behind that is because the Revolution Max platform does a whole lot better overseas. So they decided to switch the manufacturing of the liquid-cooled motored bikes to over there to where they're being bought. Whether like it, don't like it, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of just what's happening. As for everything with your air-cooled element to it, those are still made at the York facility here in the US. But it's something I wanted to point out, that this is one of the few bikes in Harley's history that's not being made here. And now on to the test ride portion of the video. The best way to describe this bike is it's exactly as advertised. All the power of the Pan America, but having the more road orientation. So for me, I noticed right away that because I was more low swung into the bike with the seat that's on there, I was able to throw around a little bit better. Whereas on the Pan America Specials, you feel like you're sitting up higher, not only with the higher suspension setup, but because the seat is higher up as well, you notice that, even on a subconscious level. Whereas on the ST, you were definitely more in the bike, and for me, it made me just naturally feel like I could throw it around a whole lot easier, get around that crazy Evansville traffic, as it were, a whole lot easier. So I really like those aspects. I love the fact of how you could zip in and out of traffic and you could stop on a dime if need be. While I was on the test ride, Evansville's in the middle of a whole bunch of road construction for second decade running at this point. And they had put up some new signs on my usual test ride route, so I had to figure out a new way through. And the bike, I was worried about it. I was stopping, able to move really quick, so it was a whole lot of fun. The one complaint that I do have on the bike, and this is far more subjective, is because this bike is set up for road orientation and you're lower into it, you can't stand up on this bike as easy. On the Pan America Special, you can stand up on that bike and ride it around like that really easily. Some people like that, other people not, but that was really my only complaint with this bike. So now on to the pricing breakdown. All of this is available on Harley's website. The base price of this is going to be $19,999 for the Billiard Gray. I don't think that this bike has a bad color setup. All of them look great. Personally, I'd be going for the Vivid Black, but Billiard Gray looks fantastic. Base color, so no price charge on there, whereas Vivid Black, it is $300 to get it in this color. Said it's my preferred one. I think this is the one that they used in Thunderbolts, but it's the one I've done on this video. I think it looks fantastic. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. And then the only other color that's available for it is going to be your Brilliant Red here at $550. This one's not bad. We had one in the showroom for a little while. Good color setup. I like it better than the Red Rock of last year, but $550 for that color change there. And that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. It truly means a lot to me for everybody that watches this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like. What are your thoughts on the Pan America ST? Is it something that we needed, or was it just another model to have another model? Leave your thoughts down below. If you enjoy this type of content or want to see behind the scenes of what it's like working at a Harley-Davidson dealership, consider subscribing, because that's what I do here. But again, thank you for just watching this video, and I'll catch you out there riding.